Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm your host, Chelsea Van Buskirk. I'm a wife, mom of three, and recovering mother hustler on a mission to help millennial moms break free from burnout and reconnect to their feminine power. This show is all about healing, spiritual growth, boundaries, and creating a life filled with more joy, ease, and freedom. On today's show, we're going to be talking about goals. Okay, sorry, just had to channel a little bit of Jay-Z, but real talk, this episode is about defining what success means for you and having a fresh perspective on goal setting and what control and surrender look like when we talk about achieving our goals. I'm going to give you a new look at the movie Forrest Gump and Office Space for some inspo on how success comes by detaching yourself from the outcome. I had so much fun talking about this perspective on working towards your goals, and I hope you enjoy it too. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're doing well. So I feel like we're in the season of goals and setting intentions for the fresh start, the new year, all the things. And me and my husband were talking about this. So my husband's the most successful person I know, that I personally know through and through, right? Like I know his background, I know his childhood, I know a lot of things, right? We've been together for 21 years and counting. So I know him pretty intimately inside and out in a lot of ways. And he's a very successful person. And guess what? He does not do vision boards. He doesn't write out his goals. He just doesn't. And he has a lot of business partners and things that do that. And so anyway, we were kind of talking about this and he brought up, I don't know, we just had this really interesting conversation about goals and achieving them and, all these things and what success looks like. And so I guess, first of all, when it comes to success is dependent on how you define it, right? Because what success is for one person might not be for like the next person, right? Like we all have our own unique definitions of what success really means. For example, for me, success means having the freedom to volunteer in my kids' classroom if I want to, the ability to go and pick up a child if they're sick and not have it just completely ruin everything, like being able to have that freedom of not having kind of this 9-to-5 job and being able to have a lifestyle where I don't have to worry about shelter. Like I've got a roof over my head and I'm able to buy food for my family and not have to worry about where, food's coming from and that we have heat. Like that to me is success, right? Success is being able to have my bills paid and to have enough extra to have comforts and to, if there's anything that the kids need, if there's a sport they want to, that have the ability to pay for that, right? Like to have that financial freedom to be able to let our kids do the things that they love to do and that we have the ability to travel and not have to be tied down to any certain thing, So to me, that's success. That's my success. And I guess like personally for me, it's being able to inspire other people to follow their dreams or to find themselves in a more healed space to where they're not living in misery anymore, to like find their happiness and joy and that spark within them again. That to me is success. Or success is being able to have the freedom to go work out and take care of my body when I want to and to be able to be in charge of my day and things like that. So again, success can mean different things, right? We might have certain goals or successes in our businesses or, our families. Like success to me is having a healthy, fulfilling marriage and having good relationships with my kids, things like that. So success has many definitions. And so make sure too that when you're hearing this episode that success is whatever it is for you. What is your definition of success? Because that's what matters and that's what you should aim to achieve, right? So, okay, back to what I want to talk about. Some people get really attached to outcomes. And so for me, this is what my husband is kind of translating as far as having these goals, is that sometimes he feels like it could limit you because then he's like, well, then if you hit that goal, like, are you just done? Like, what does that mean? And so I know for a lot of people, maybe they set certain goals, they hit it, and then they make the next goal. So for him, he just never has like a true target. It's like he just keeps trying to improve and do more and get more, and he's just like this Energizer bunny. Like he just keeps going just to see where he can go, because why not? That's his thought process. So it got me thinking, because this aligns, I feel like, with the whole control versus surrender. So a lot of times we're attached to the outcome, right? So we want this control. Like we want to know that if I do X, Y, Z, then I get A, B, C, right? Like we want to see this like direct correlation of cause and effect, right? And sometimes it doesn't really happen like that. So I actually did an episode on this with my weight loss journey. So a couple of years ago, I lost 20 pounds because I had gotten that far out of control, so to speak. But like I just wasn't doing things very healthy. And at the weight, I gained it pretty quickly. And so on my journey to get rid of it, I was having this kind of plateau moment. And the way that I broke out of that is I stopped being so attached and focused on the outcome. And I think this is true in a lot of ways when we have goals. Like when we get so attached, so married to the outcome that it has to be a specific way. Like we're trying to control the situation, we're trying to control the outcome to fit this exact mold of what we think it has to look like instead of just taking action and surrendering and seeing what happens. And so my husband brought up two movies and I was like, this illustrates this perfect. So one of his all-time favorite movies, which is also one of my top ones, I'd say it's definitely my top 10. For him, it's probably in his top 5, but it's Forrest Gump. So what's great about Forrest Gump is not only does it illustrate a lot of historical points in our US history, but his character, he's made to be like, he has some kind of mental delay, right? Like there's something that he probably has, some condition that probably was undiagnosed. Like it's referenced a couple times in the movie that he's like slow or whatever it is. But it kind of works in his favor, right? Because all throughout the movie, he's very successful in everything he does. But you know why? Because he's always just taking action and just doing what he thinks is right. It's like he follows this intuition and he just does what he's told. So, you think about like when he's in the military, you can think of that scene when he's like, God damn it, Gump, how did you put that gun together so quickly? And he's like, because you told me to, drill sergeant. And it's like, yeah, he did what he was told and he was successful. He followed the rules. Like he was very successful. And in the military, when he went to war, he's in Vietnam and they told him to run. And of course, you see throughout the movie, he's always been told to run. And every time he's running, he's doing what he's told and he just runs and he gets away. Like he breaks through the brace and he gets away from the bullies. And then in Vietnam, when he's running, he saves Lieutenant Dan and he gets shot in the butt, but he survives because he kept running. And then later in life, he's like, oh yeah, this guy told me to invest in Apple. And so this fruit company or whatever, which was Apple, like the the whole Apple brand, when he does the shrimping thing, right? Like he was fulfilling a promise that he made to his best friend, Bubba. He had no intention of going out there and making millions selling shrimp, but it was his determination, his action, where he just was like, he just took action and did it. Like he wasn't worried. He bought some rinky-dink boat, right? He named it after the love of his life, Jenny. And he goes out there and day after day, he's not really catching anything. Lieutenant Dan comes and the whole thing. But I mean, his success came because he just did it. Like he didn't care. He wasn't there to get rich off shrimping. He just was fulfilling this promise he made to his best friend. And then he was the one boat that stuck it out through that storm. And then all of a sudden was raking in the shrimp and did the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. So that was a great example for me to show what it's like when you just surrender, when you're not controlling the outcome, not hung up on the outcome or attached to the outcome. You're doing the work, you're doing the things, but you're just doing it without being attached to the outcome. And I honestly feel like that's what my husband has done also. When I look back at all the different things he's done in business and the companies he's created and the partnerships he's created, he just fucking goes. Like when I look back at our real estate empire, for those of you who don't really know me intimately, like that is the background of one of our companies. Is we started real estate investing in 2014 and we just did it. We didn't sit there and mull and hem and haw. We kind of knew the certain risks, but we just started. We do short-term rentals like the Airbnb thing. Again, we just freaking did it and I just tried it. And it was just like, we're just going to try this and just see what happens. And so it's just like the taking the action and not being so attached. And still like the real estate game is a long-term game. So we had some really successful years and we've had some really shitty years. We've had 2 places burned down, okay? And we're still paying mortgages on those places and we're having to do the rebuild. And so our profits are really down on our rental portfolio. But at the same time, it's a long-term game. I'm not attached to having that as my only outcome, my only source of income. So we had to get creative and we're going to hold on to these properties because over time, they're going to be paid off and we're going to have equity in those. So it pays off if you play the long game and I'm not attached to having a certain outcome. Like if I was attached to having, a super successful short-term rental business or wanting to get rich quick or thinking that it was going to be like this, always making lots of money all the time, then I probably would be very miserable because we're not really making money in the real estate game right now. Like our investments, we're really not making money because guess what? Expenses have gone up. It's a whole thing. But at the same time, we're not attached to that outcome. I'm not attached to that being my only source or sense of success. Like, we're getting the bills paid. That's awesome. And they're assets that are going to sit there and they're going to grow over time. And that going into it, we knew it was a long-term game. So yeah, so talking about not being attached to the outcome and just taking action. All these things we've had certain successes with, but it's because we just tried it. We just did it. And the other movie that me and my husband were talking about that got brought up that is very similar is Office Space. So love this movie. I feel like it was a cult classic, if you will. Like when I was growing up, we used to quote it all the time. Like it was so freaking funny. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But essentially, this guy who works in kind of like this corporate cubicle setting, who's very miserable, hates his job, a smart guy, but he goes to see a hypnosis with his girlfriend, and the hypnotist dies in the middle of the hypnosis. So essentially, it's like he's still under this hypnosis, never gets like really woken up, essentially. And so he becomes extremely relaxed, and he just is kind of like going with the flow. And so he decides to show up work whenever he decides he wants to show up. He stops caring so much is what it looks like. His girlfriend's all agitated and has a stick up her ass because, we've all been there. I know I have been, where you want to have everything a certain way and have it like all organized and everything's like go, go, go. And all of a sudden he's just kind of relaxed. Like, okay, if that's what you want to do, whatever. And so anyway, you see him go into his job and he's just kind of like, not caring. Everybody's freaking out because they're afraid layoffs are going to happen. There's going to be cuts in the company. And he's like, okay, well, if there's going to be cuts, whatever. But it's just his whole attitude and energy shifts to where he's just relaxed. And it's crazy what you see happen, because then all of a sudden he's the one that's getting promoted because he's being honest and he's just confident and he just doesn't give a fuck anymore. And it's that level of not caring, like, that allows you to really just be who you are and do what you want. And it was like this magic happened because in him doing what he felt in the moment, it just opened up all these doors for him. So you see him go into the restaurant and Jennifer Aniston plays the waitress and he asks her out. And it's like he gets the girl and gets the date because he's being nonchalant about it. So I felt like this was a great thing to illustrate, because we get in this kind of mode where we want to be in control. We want things to go a certain way. We have these timelines and we're attached to these certain outcomes. But it seems to me that the magic happens, and the way that we're able to manifest things in our life is when we let go of so much control and attachment to certain specific outcomes. Instead, when we can find things that bring us joy, that light us up, where we're just like doing the work and doing things we love, then all of a sudden these doors start opening, opportunities start showing up for you. To me, it's going into like some of the similar episodes I've done on manifesting and things, where your vibe, when you are in control mode and like angry and rigid and just stressed and like frantic and rushed and things are like that, your vibration is very low and it's just like resistant. And I feel like you're a magnet and you're repelling opportunities that might be coming to you, versus when you're relaxed and high vibe and joyful and happy, you're radiating that light outwards that makes you magnetic. So you're attracting these opportunities, you're attracting things to come your way, you're attracting that success because you're just doing it. So again, like I think of my husband, when he started the whole like storage venture with these partners, it's like he was just gonna freaking do it. And he wasn't attached. I see some of the guys come in this storage game and the partnerships, and they want to get rich. They want this now because they see the one guy that, has like 100 and whatever sites and he's making lots of good money. That's what they want. They see the shiny thing. They want that success. And so they become attached to that outcome, where my husband's like, I don't really care. I see this as a good investment. I'm buying up assets and partnerships and business ownerships. So I'm just going to do the work and see what happens. And him doing that, like, it snowballed his success. And so now he does have quite a number of sites are snowballing. Like, he's getting more opportunities because he's not so attached to needing certain things. So yeah, so I just thought that was a great way to look at things as we are getting into this season of goals for ourselves, is to remind ourselves that having a good positive attitude and being more relaxed with it and having goals is great. I maybe don't align so much with my husband on that. Like, I think having goals is great. It's great to have a target to shoot for, but I think the key is not being attached to a certain outcome. Like for this podcast, for example, I'm going to have to change the name of my podcast. I'll be doing a rebrand and I'll be spilling some more tea on that as it comes. But, I was really attached to the Heart AF, like Heart as Fuck. That was something that came to me in a meditation 5 years ago. And I created an LLC for it. I had branding done with it. I had that heart made for me. I had all this stuff. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't trademark it. And so, and I did the podcast and I really loved it and I was going strong for a while. And then, like I said, shit hit the fan and I took a step back and stopped publishing episodes. And so then when I had this whole rebrand, this whole relaunch going, I was so excited to do the relaunch. And as I was publishing episodes and sharing it, I had a friend who searched my podcast and another podcast came through on Spotify that was my same name. And I was like, oh shit, there's another person out there with the Heart as Fuck podcast. And so I look and mine started before hers. And it's different, obviously. We're different people, different vibes. But I was like, dang it. And so I went to go look to see if I could trademark it. So I go on, I look, and freaking 4 months before, there was a filing this year, just 4 months before I looked into it, that already had a pending filing for Heart AF. And so talked with a lawyer friend of mine to see what I could do. And you can file like a same name if it's in a different categories, but it turns out we were in similar categories or one of the same categories. So I was going to try to see if I had any leverage because I predate hers. And so anyway, we felt like I could have the potential to fight it because I predate her, but the way that she uses her phrase in commerce and some of the things that she's doing, which were some of the things that I was planning to do, I would maybe possibly be able to win the rights in the podcasting space for that name, but I wouldn't be able to do anything else but that. And I have plans and dreams. And so it was kind of a hard pill to swallow because it was like I could either try to spend time and money litigating and trying to fight for it, or I can use this as an opportunity because I'm just now coming back after a long break to rebrand. And so that's what I'm going to do. Instead of spending, time and money and trying to fight somebody who's already establishing this new brand with her version of Heart as Fuck, she's got stuff for it, that's fine. I'm going to be rebranding. It's all good things. But again, it's something that I had to let go, right? If I was so attached to that outcome, do you know what kind of stress I'd be putting myself in trying to fight for that? And for what? Just to have rights to that? I love it. I love Heart as Fuck. That was something I loved and I was really attached to it. I did trademark my freaking heart. So that is in the process of being trademarked right now. So I'm going to keep that sucker. That'll be in my new branding too. But stay tuned for the rebrand on the podcast because I'm going to keep going with the podcast episodes and I've got a whole rebrand coming that I'm really excited about. It's going to be great. And if anything, it's just going to be better. And again, I'm not going to be attached to the outcome. I'm just doing stuff that feels good, feels right, and feels aligned. And then I'm going to have faith that success is going to come because I feel good about it and I'm going to be doing the work, doing the things. I think that's another caveat I want to express before I end this episode is that when we talk about surrendering or releasing control and all these things, it doesn't mean we're saying just sit there and do nothing, right? I'm not saying be lazy and then success comes. No, you do the work. You have to do the work. You can't just sit there and do nothing, but it's about releasing that control and surrendering the attachment of what you expect. So what do I mean by that is I have a desire to have this podcast as a channel to have my voice be broadcasted and to have my message reach the people that need to hear it. And then I can surrender on the how that's going to be done. I just know I have to do the work by actually speaking and publishing and getting the episodes out. And then I can let the universe handle the rest. I can let the universe handle getting it to the people that need to hear it. I can work on perfecting how I'm titling my episodes so that the people that need to hear it can find me. I can work on promoting myself. I can work on all these things. But again, I'm not going to be sitting there attached, refreshing to see how many downloads and things I get. Great to track data so I can know what's hitting and what's not, but also not being so attached to the outcome, knowing and having faith, surrendering that the universe has my back and is going to help me get this show out to whoever needs to hear it, right? So I'll do my work on my end and doing the things I can do to the best of my abilities, and then I surrender and let the outcome be what it'll be. I don't know what opportunities will come from this. I really don't. I would love, to have some kind of success for sure. I would love to have some success with this show. I would love to have something come of it. I don't know what yet, but I'm trusting and letting that go, that it'll come and show itself. Like the opportunity will be presented to me in the right time. And I will share, I'll link that one episode I did on my weight loss, because I think that was another one that kind of illustrates this whole point too of the mindset and not being attached to certain things that helps you finally progress. Because I see it a lot when people get really frustrated and they're not as far along as I think they should be, is because they're so attached to the outcome. They're so focused on that goal, that end goal, that they're like missing it, right? They're so obsessed with hitting that number. It's like disconnecting them. It's breaking that connection with that flow state, with that alignment where you're feeling good, because you're so attached to the outcome that, again, is taking your vibration down. You're lowering your vibration. You're lowering that ability to be magnetic. It's almost like you start repelling people when you have this attitude where you're so focused on that and you're so like mad and you want this specific thing so bad that it actually disconnects you from being able to receive it. Which sounds funny, like it shouldn't be that way, right? But what you focus on expands. So when you're focused on what you don't have, then you're keeping that alignment of not having it. So it's counterintuitive to want that control and to be like feeling this frustration of not having what you want. So instead, you have to have that belief of, I know this is coming from me. I know I feel good when I weigh this amount of weight. So I'm going to do the work and expect that I'm going to get to my ideal healthy weight that I feel good in. And you focus on feeling good, okay? You're not focused on feeling bad and how bad you feel weighing what you do now and being frustrated that the scale won't move and I keep seeing the same number. No, you start thinking good feeling thoughts, raising your vibe, like I'm telling you. So this is I'm basically giving you some of the meat of that episode, but it's the same thing for any other goal. I'm telling you, got to feel good. Feeling good is feeling God. Have you ever heard that? Wayne Dyer used to say that. That's one of my favorite spiritual teachers. I bring him up a lot in my shows because he is definitely one of my guiding lights for sure. He had a lot of great spiritual teachings, and he's somebody I go back to again and again. So, yeah. But just keep this in mind as you're making your goals, right? Think of Forrest Gump. Think of things that make you laugh and, have fun, high vibe. So definitely have goals for yourself. Here's some homework for you, I guess. Define your success. What does success look like to you? Okay, when you're thinking of your goals. And then I want you to describe how you feel when you reach that desired goal of yours. Like live in that feeling, and then you live from that space of achieving the goal, and then focus on feeling that. Define what success is to you. And when you're thinking of your goals, I want you to you can write this out as detailed as you possibly can on exactly how you are going to feel when you have this achieved state. And then you focus and you live from that place of feeling good, feeling great. Like when I use the example of the weight loss thing, it feels so good to weigh this amount. I'm at my healthy weight. It's easy for me to move and I feel good and I feel confident and things like that. Or when XYZ, I feel this, and just really focus on what that feeling is when you reach that goal and coming at it from that space. And again, like I said, when you're doing things that bring you joy, like watch that movie Office Space. It'll make you laugh and you just see how he's like, I wanted to go fishing today. So he went fishing instead of going to work. And so it's like, do that stuff for yourself. Like, what is it that you really want to do that makes you feel good? This just came to my mind. So one of the things that I really love is to dance. I love dancing. Like I want to dance like I'm in a club back in the early 2000s. That's like my happy place, like where I'm just in the zone. And so I've made a couple of friends recently from like business partners, wives and stuff, where we're kind of in that similar age group where we really love that kind of era, like the bling era, early 2000s, what up? And so we've been planning girls trips where that's kind of the sole purpose is it's not to meet people or whatever. It's just to like be in a place that's playing our kind of music in a space where we can just move our bodies and dance and be with each other and not have to worry about anything else. And it just is so soul nourishing. And I'm telling you, when you find those moments and do things for yourself that bring you that joy, that make you light up and have fun, that's how life is supposed to be lived. And I want you to remember those moments of your life. And like that should be your goal, is to feel that way all the time. And when you can come back to that space of feeling good, that's when you're magnetic. That's when things start like popping up, opportunities start coming at you is when you're in that high vibe state. So yeah, so let's get there. Take all that as you're planning your goals for this year. Let's be like Forrest Gump and just like freaking go, right? Let's not get too stuck in the weeds on things and trying to force anything. Like just take action and see what happens. I'm telling you. And I really feel like those are some good messages. So yeah, watch some of those movies and see if that can get you kind of invigorated or thinking about those movies a little bit differently. Thinking about how those behaviors and what they're doing in their characters, how that can apply to like your life and achieving some of the things that maybe you want to achieve in your life. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing great and I'll see you next week. Peace. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today on the Heart AF podcast. Please share this episode with anyone you can think of that may need a little hope and encouragement right now. And if you enjoyed the episode, please leave me a rating and review. Not only does it mean the world to me, but it also helps others find the show. Plus, at the end of every month, I do a drawing with anyone who has left me a review that previous month to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Just a little way for me to say thank you. So make sure you screenshot yours and send it to me on Instagram at chelsea.vanbuskirk or email me at info@chelseavanbuskirk.com. I love connecting with my listeners, so please feel free to message me in the DMs or an email, any questions or feedback you may have. If you tag me in your social posts or stories, anything about the podcast sharing, any of that, I will give you a shout out and repost on mine. I can't wait to be back with you next week. So until then, keep choosing love, keep choosing hope, and let's live heart as fuck.